So today, our very special guest is Steve Phelps, Commissioner of NASCAR. During his tenure at NASCAR, he served in a variety of roles, including Chief Operating Officer, and most important for our conversation, he was the Chief Marketing Officer. Prior, he's worked for Wasserman Media Group and spent 14 years in corporate marketing in the NFL. So I'd like to welcome to our podcast the first commissioner of NASCAR, Steve.
Thank you, Benny. It's a pleasure to be here.
Oh man, it's amazing to have you here as we talk a lot about executive leadership. And we firmly believe that marketing, through our skills and our background, really is a part of leadership. Talk a bit about your journey from spending time as the Chief Marketing Officer of NASCAR to now in this role as the first commissioner.
Well, I think when I think about kind of my journey, and I'll just do it at NASCAR, not before, but I was a CMO for 12 years.
Okay. Yeah.
And I think it's a really good path. It's not the path for everyone to be a CEO or a commissioner, but I think if the focus on brand and strategy is so important for, and certainly for NASCAR.
Right.
As I think about why the success that we've had over the last 6 years or so,
Right.
I think it was the attention to making sure our product, which is entertainment and racing, was strong, and that's what we've been able to see. We have a new car that we introduced. We have a schedule innovation that we've done.
Right.
And so the key thing for us is we're thinking about ourselves as a brand is do things that are bold and innovative.
Yeah, talk a bit about that innovation, because you mentioned it's showing up everywhere, from fan experience to the actual product to technology in the car.
Yeah, I think, for us, as we're thinking about the growth of the sport, I look at it in a couple different ways. One is getting new people into the franchise, to participate in NASCAR in some fashion, whether it's going to a race, watching on television, digital products and services that we have to try to service them. That is really important. And so we are constantly challenging ourselves to be better, right? To create a better fan experience, both at the racetrack and then outside of the racetrack, and serve that fan as best we can. And I think we've done a good job with that, but we have to get better.
Right. So when you think about kind of innovation, sometimes it's just showing up in a new place in an unexpected way. So we were talking about how quintessentially American NASCAR is, but your fastest growth areas are outside of the U.S.
Yeah, I think for us, we still have lots of domestic growth.
Right.
And I think, to your point, the challenging ourselves to be bold and innovative. You think about this schedule. So we built a racetrack inside the LA Coliseum, so a quarter-mile racetrack, and did an exhibition race there. We raced through the streets of Chicago. This will be our third year.
Right.
Never had a street race before. The car itself is different. So the car is more of a sports car,
Right.
but it is stock. Everything on that car a consumer could buy.
Right.
And the branding looks like the branding of its counterpart on the showroom floor. But for us, I think that creating places to meet potential fans is important.
Right.
So digitally, so we have relationship with Roblox and Fortnite and iRacing, which is simulation racing. We do things in sports betting with all the FanDuel and DraftKings and Sports Radar and Genius Sports and those folks that are helping with the data itself. We do that because we want to be where potential fans are.
Right.
The most important thing as a marketer for me is trying to get someone to consider NASCAR, to be part of NASCAR. So if you think of fandom as a continuum, you have those that are not in your franchise, right? And some people will never be NASCAR fans. They just won't.
Right.
And so those folks I can't get. But there is a whole group that currently are not fans that I think we can get to be fans and get them to be a casual fan. And then those casual fans down the continuum to significant avidity, which is really, that's the holy grail, because those people they just can't consume enough NASCAR.
Right. It's wonderful to think about NASCAR as this brand that's an invitation.
Yeah.
You're continually inviting us in, right? and we get that first taste of NASCAR. You hear that first cranking sound, and then you want more. And your experiences have evolved in that. Talk a bit about, how this has changed you and your teams at its fundamental core. I think, the Chicago event, where it's so perfect for the brand when we see it today, but I can only imagine those first conversations that we're going to do what in the middle of where?
Yeah, whether it's Chicago Street Race or the LA Coliseum, they're just, the first time I heard about the LA Coliseum, I had that reaction. We're going to race where? But it really worked out well. 80% of the people who went to that event and 85% of the people that bought tickets to the Chicago Street Race had never been to a NASCAR race before. And so, again, that invitation to come and feel welcome and understand that, hey, this is fun.
Right.
This is a really cool thing to do, both the racing itself, which is exceptional,
Right.
but also the experiences you get when you're at a racetrack,
Right.
the sights and sounds. And there is no sport that really gets to the senses more
Right.
than NASCAR. You can, obviously see it. You can touch it. You touch the cars. You can smell,
Right.
rubber, fuel. I mean, it's just a really cool sensory experience.
And what's powerful is when you see everyone come together. Now, I want to focus on that. It's a space where everyone is welcome. You had an inflection point about 6 years ago. It was really kind of a brand breakthrough for NASCAR. Talk a bit about how that shaped and brought you new audiences in really unexpected ways.
Yeah, I mean, for us, we kind of think about people's perception of our brands is significantly different from where the brand is today.
Right.
If we tell the story correctly, then people understand that our sport isn't just made up of old white men from the South, because that's not who we are. We have lots of great fans who are old and white and from the South. So I live in Florida, and I'm old and white, so that would be me. But we have others, and there's kind of this permission that happened really in 2020, and some of the changes that we made and people's perceptions of the brand that made the sport more inclusive, made it more welcoming, and different programs that we put in place that have worked. And so, for us, our new fans tend to be people of color, women, and young people.
Right.
And that's really, as a marketer, I'm thrilled with that.
Right.
Because you have to bring more, infuse your brand with, people coming into the franchise.
Right.
And I think that's what we've been able to do over the last 5 years. But it was really being intentional about the programs that we put in place.
Right.
And then how we talked about the brand and how we were welcoming and inclusive, and changes that we made, from social justice and what it was happening at that time in America.
Right.
And then it really just has kind of snowballed on itself. And now we're in a place that's, we're excited about what's ahead for us.
Well, it's really an epic case study in taking charge of your brand at a critical moment and unleashing the power in the space in there. You talked about storytelling, important. You talked about showing up in a dynamic way and bringing us all together for fun, right? It's been really powerful. I want to talk a bit about the media breakthroughs you've had, because you've got some consistent standard deals that you've always had, but you've got new streaming and new content deals that are happening.
Yeah, we thought that was really important for us to kind of put a marker on different things. So we have a relationship with Fox and NBC that is cable as well as broadcast.
Right.
All domestic deals, what I'm talking about now. But then you have, we brought in the CW, which is the entitlement partner or a broadcast partner for our second series, the Xfinity series.
Right.
And then we brought in a pure streamer in Amazon, which starts the Sunday night before Memorial Day at the Coke 600.
Right.
And then they have 5 races, and then 5 races on Turner Sports and Max. And to us, Max has a product right now that has all 40 cars that have in-car cameras.
Right.
That you can curate and you can look at different places, and it's meant to be a companion piece. But we have people who are watching over an hour just from the in-car camera piece, which was surprising to the Turner Max people. They're like, we didn't think it was going to be that much stickiness.
Right.
But it was. So again, it just goes back to, how can I enhance your experience as a fan?
What I think is powerful when I think about your kind of media portfolio of partners. We've had some conversations at this session this week to talk about how do you deal with 5 generations in a marketplace at a time.
Yeah.
You've really got a strategy there to deal with, our 5 substantive generations in the marketplace.
No, I agree. And I think, these young people in particular, they're gravitating to all things digital, right? They're digital natives, obviously. And I think that if I had to guess, just like Amazon did for the NFL, those that are watching are going to be a decade younger. Mm-hmm. I think the same thing will happen with NASCAR. But it goes past just that. It's the content creation that we're doing. We built a brand new productions facility outside of Charlotte. And that building has 2 purposes. One is live event production, and the other is content creation. Mm-hmm. We have to create really cool content for them. And that is long form, short form. Young people in particular, they want kind of the digital shorts and have things go through social media. But for us, we have a show with Netflix called Full Speed. It's our 2nd season, just came out. Amazon's coming out with 2 documentaries, which are going to be terrific. One called Earnhardt and the other called American Thunder. And creating both long form and these short form things to serve fandom is a really important thing for us.
You really have this space in which it's kind of fandom on top of fandom on top of fandom for you. Talk a bit about the generational relationship. NASCAR kind of going through families.
Yeah, so NASCAR is actually owned, I think your question is like ownership position.
Ownership and kind of fan experience. People who've been a part of it.
Well, I think, it's really 2 things. So we are owned by the France family, Jim France and Lisa France Kennedy. It's a family-run business. Now 4 generations of Francis that are part of it, which is really cool. But like most sports, NASCAR, there's lots of generational transfer, right? So father to daughter, whatever it might be. And I think you see that in sports anyway.
Right.
It's no different than NASCAR. And making sure that as, in this case, father to daughter, that the daughter is getting what she needs, that might be slightly different than what her father wants, right? Mm-hmm. But I think it's all about storytelling. I think it's all about, the entertainment value, both in person at our racetracks, but then outside. And then what content are you serving them? So I kind of think about our content group is checkered flag on a Sunday to the green flag of the next weekend to the next race.
Nice.
All of that is opportunities to connect from a content perspective. And that's what we need to do because we have to serve those fans where they are. And no 2 fans are alike, so we have to make sure that we are kind of being bespoke to what it is we're doing. We have a massive database that helps us understand who you are, where you live, whether you attend races, whether you buy licensed merchandise, who your favorite driver is. And we can all serve that through content to that particular person. And that's important.
Yeah. So one of the most exciting parts of NASCAR is the moment of a lead change. Right? We can all see it happening, the strategy, the execution, the things that go in it, the belief. So I want to talk a bit about last year or earlier this year, where you go from the marketing leader to the overall commissioner. Talk about that experience of that lead change for you.
So I think for me, so I've had a number of roles, including CMO. I was the CEO, I was the president, now I'm the commissioner. I think it's a good journey. For me in particular, and as I talked about, it's just about the product. And getting that product right is really important. And I think that we've done a better job of doing that. Again, being bold and innovative. You have to think about how you're going to make your product the most interesting it can be.
Right.
And so for us, you can do that a number of ways. You can do it in, kind of format changes that you'll do with your product. Right. You can do it in schedule changes. You're going to go to new places like Chicago Street Race or Mexico City, which is where we're going in a month. All those things keep things fresh. And I think it delivers against that brand promise. And the brand promise is we are going to give you the best racing on the planet, which I think we do. And then we are going to make sure that we are nurturing your fandom. And I think that's important too. So I think that in my current role, I can go back to the CMO role, which is all about how do you create incremental new fans, and then how do you nurture those fans?
So, as a CMO who's now a chief executive, what advice do you have for our marketing leaders who are looking for that next step, who are looking for that way to lead the business and the org?
Yeah, I think, my situation was certainly unique, as everyone's is. I think I don't know why there are not more chief executives that are marketers or CMOs, because I think it's really a good pathway, because you understand, who are you trying to reach? How are you going to reach them? What does that growth look like? And understanding the brand and the vision for the brand. That's what a CMO does.
Right.
And trying to bring more people in the franchise, just like we're trying to do at NASCAR. So I think it's a situation where you just kind of keep digging, right? You just got to keep understanding and then giving yourself those opportunities to grow into positions. And for me, a position open and I filled it, and then another position open and I filled that too. So again, my story's unique, but I don't think it needs to be, because I think markers are understanding your product and how you move it forward is critical.
Right. You've mentioned before about this exploring the unexpected in the brand and having NASCAR show up in unexpected ways. Now, you've been a student of NASCAR in all the roles that you've had. When was the last time you felt surprised that the NASCAR brand showed up somewhere in some place that you didn't even think about?
Well, most of those things are done by the folks that work for me. So to me, it's like, I was watching the other day, and a girl that she was playing Fortnite, and there was NASCAR. I'm like, look here. Now I knew about that, but it was on it.
Right. Seeing it
was like, oh boy, in real time. Like, I've got it on the piece of paper that says, yes, we have Roblox, Fortnite, et cetera, but seeing it in person was really a cool thing. So seeing that the brand manifest itself in surprising places is a really cool thing and very gratifying.
Wow. I think that's a perfect way to close our conversation. Seeing the brand, seeing the power show up and manifest in these unexpected ways, where sights, sounds, community, and fandom, all at the heart of the work you've done, my friend, at NASCAR.
Thank you,
We'll
Benny.
continue to keep watching and cheering for you.
I appreciate you, Benny. Thanks so much.
Thank you for joining us.
My pleasure.
Thank you all for being here for this episode.